A spiritual awakening is a broadening of consciousness. It is seeing beyond this narrow vision of the ego, and it's perceiving everything around you with a mystical essence. It's imbued with energy, and you can see that. So, when we look at a spiritual awakening, this is a broadening. When we look at a spiritual emergency, this is an opening to a greater depth of the conscious mind, which is also broadening and expanding, but it is charging the physiological system with a ruptured state of transpersonal or supernatural energies, and a person is flooded with this. Today's video, I want to differentiate a spiritual awakening and a spiritual emergency, and then get into the integrative process and how we can also prevent this ruptured state. Right now, the world is awakening to a new system that is outside of dogma. It is outside of this religious factor. We are moving away from this patriarchal, very dominating structure. And with this comes a flood of archetypal energies that are awakening a person to a state of awareness that can at times feel overwhelming. Though a person may receive a sense of enlightenment, it is also a lot to deal with when we are still supposed to be a part of this modern life. Okay, so let's get into a spiritual awakening. When we look at this, this is a person's broadening of consciousness. So they're moving beyond this ego realm. They are kind of opening the ego to see more in life, to know that there is more here. It's a very exciting state. It feels very euphoric because there is this interconnection between the self, others, and the environment. And this is really spirit imbued in every part of life, in a child's coming, in you driving down the street and seeing, a couple of numbers put together, in a hawk flying overhead. You find meaning within everything. And again, this is exciting because you're now seeing life through the lens of something that is transcendent. And it's not so ego constraint and very narrow, very limiting. It feels like you're breaking out of the profane, mundane reality to experience the sacred. So, spiritual awakening, more than anything, is seeing life beyond this ego lens and feeling a deep sense of connection between you and everything around you. Now, when we look at a spiritual emergency, let me just, while I remember, bring up these book references. If you're interested in reading anything about what I'm talking about, just educate yourself. Psychoeducation is so important in this work. So, when we look at a spiritual emergency, this is quite different because this is a ruptured state in the psyche because a person, who's to say if they choose this? I don't think that you do, but a person will be flooded with archetypal energies. And this is the collective unconscious pouring in and through the psyche and breaking into a person's ego construct. So they are no longer identifying with the sense of self in such a way that is connected and that is used to their common reality, but they have completely the flooding of energies feels so extreme that there is this disidentification with all of reality. But in this place, even more so, does a person begin to experience these archetypal motifs, like these different, you could say, cosmic plays are consuming the person. So it is also detrimental to the physiological system because they are no longer connected to this factual reality of matter and material. They are living in a more of a schizophrenic state that is in the realm of whatever this break is. And this is where we can look at the shaman being initiated as the shaman. They are going through this death and rebirth cycle, and they're experiencing these altered states of consciousness. Now, in this place, um, it feels like it's characterized by this nihilistic energy. Like, you don't feel happy and euphoric as you would in a spiritual awakening where everything is interconnected and you feel lighter and meaning is in all, but you are consumed and you feel, it is this again, it's a ruptured state. It's not pleasant, and you lose all sense of connection to the majority of life. So, a lot of the times in this place, a person literally feels as though they are going crazy, but they're not going crazy. And it's unfortunate that a lot of the psychiatric structures are based off of more of an evidence based study because they aren't seeing this from a transpersonal lens. They're only seeing this from again, a little bit more of this patriarchal dominating lens of let's just give someone a pill, tranquilize them, and then take them away from this state of mind because they're going through something that we don't understand. It's just we have to begin to upgrade our system so that we can help these individuals that are having these spiritual ruptures. It's not something that is psychotic, and it's more than anything something that is mystical. And when we can begin to see this as mystical, then we will treat the experience as such with the greatest amount of respect that we should, because we are working with the unconscious, the collective unconscious, not the personal, the collective. This is a lot. Okay? So, this experience, again, it feels like a huge disconnect. But it also can be extremely overwhelming to the point a person might want to end their life. And we have to read about this. We have to read about this. We have to learn about this. We have to understand to a greater degree of what the experience is. Okay, that I can't emphasize that anymore. So I've kind of differentiated the two of them. I'm sure I've missed on some really great points in this, but I know that I've gotten the foundation of it. So what I'd like to now look at is, how do you prevent this? How do you prevent having either a spiritual awakening, which I don't think that you should prevent a spiritual awakening. Actually, I don't even think that you can. But how do you prevent maybe a spiritual rupture? I'm not quite sure if you can. But I will say, if I am to give you a small insight on preventing this ruptured state, look at the red flags that continuously come up in your life. Because what happens in that state is a religious experience, a newfound awareness of a different level of consciousness, a level of existence of what is a part of material and what is a part of the more immaterial. I would just say, look at the red flags in your life and allow yourself to go through the transitions that need to happen instead of constantly pushing against the things that you know you have to do. Leaving the relationship, ending the job, changing your behavior, speaking to others in a different way, like looking at the more practical ways in which you deny reality. Because those may just accumulate to such an extent that you are becoming someone who you are not supposed to be, in such a way that this persona that you've portrayed is now wanting to annihilate you and take you into a place that is potential, a psychic break. That would be my greatest insight. However, I don't believe that you can stop a lot of the mystical shamanistic experiences of the psyche, because the unconscious will do what it wants to do. However, I do believe that spirit always works in a way that it is collaborative with you. So you will go through it because it knows almost that you can handle it. You can come out of this. So, how do you integrate this ruptured state? Well, we have to unify with the flooding of images and feelings. We have to integrate with these, but this is a long time of doing the integrative work, which requires you to have great friends, a good container to support you in the process, a period of sobriety to cleanse yourself of the sedatives, a new environment that supports you in going through the alchemization process. Because you're working with such dense, heavy energies, you're going to have to be in an area that is lighter. And I will even say your diet may have to change, where you may have to take on heavier foods to ground you into the experience. And as well, let's add on fitness, start to utilize heavier weights or mind to muscle, very intense contracted states to keep you grounded, because you are in such a flighty, conscious realm. We have to pull you down and in as much as we can while still honoring the truth of what you are going through. So, how do we integrate this? Well, give it some time, connect with great people, nourish yourself, give yourself strength, educate yourself on what you're going through. We have Paths Beyond Ego, Spiritual Emergency, Far Side to Madness. Oh, fucking great book. I have other books in there that are on transpersonal psychology, but I just recommend that you learn about the flooding of spirit in matter and how we're all experiencing, whether this is a spiritual awakening or a spiritual emergency, which needs to be taken extremely seriously. We're all experiencing this new awakening to consciousness because we're craving a new system. We're craving insight, and we're craving symbolism within everything that we do, because everything that we do is so important. I hope this video has supported you. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.